Hello, and we are now on step 5. As you can see, draft your legend. Here we go. We're going to have to start getting creative. All right, now I think we're on, by the way, we're on page 80 and 81 of our iReady writing book. Please have your book opened up to that. We're going to have a look kind of really at both pages at the same time. I think that's going to serve us best here. So what we'll do is, on the left-hand side, let's go over some of these things, okay? And then we'll look at the right-hand side. Just follow along, all right? Here we go. Parts of a legend. We've already gone over that a couple times, but here it is. You ready? Beginning. We have the beginning, the middle, and the end. Let's start with the beginning. Makes logical sense, doesn't it? All right, the beginning introduces the main character. It introduces the main character, the setting, and the problem. Whatever the problem is that the character is going to have in getting the crown back. So, it says right here, please follow along with me, a good beginning does more than just introduce the story elements. You must also grab your reader's attention, and there are several ways that you can do this. Start with dialogue that makes your readers wonder what's going to happen next. So have your characters speak in the story. Have them say something to someone else, or have them say it to themselves, to the night, to the trees, to whatever, okay? But it's going to grab the reader's attention and make them wonder what's going on inside this character's head, all right? Place your main character in a scene that conveys information about the character's setting or problem. It tells information about your character, the setting that your character's in, and the problem. So you're going to place your main character in a scene, that's the place, that's where they are, that tells all of the beginning stuff. And next we have describe the main character's situation in exaggerated language to add drama or humor. What does that mean? Exaggerated language. If you look over here, look at the bottom part of 81, over here in 81. The three green boxes, the bottom part says describe the situation in exaggerated language. And if you remember back in the Davy Crockett story, one of the lines here, it says, by now you've probably heard about Davy Crockett's skill at wrestling slimy, scaly alligators more than twice his size. To him, it was as common as getting dressed. Well, that's pretty exaggerated language, where you could have said, Davy, you probably heard about Davy's skill at wrestling big alligators. Yeah, I like that one better. I like the exaggerated language one better, and I'm sure you guys do too. So that's what they're talking about by exaggerated language. Really get descriptive and just exaggerate these things, okay? That's a good legend right there. Now let's go down to the middle of the story. You've already introduced the people, where they are, and what the problem is. Now you have to have them solving these problems. Here we go. The middle says, it shows the character trying to solve his or her problem. A good middle shows the sequence of events unfolding naturally as you develop your events. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to include your main character's thoughts, feelings, and actions in response to events. Now what that does is that makes the reader identify. It makes the reader really understand more about your character. And the more the reader understands about how your character's thinking and how they feel, the more they like that character and want to read more and think it's an interesting story. So if they identify with that character, yes. And then it says, establish a clear event sequence. using transitional words, phrases, and clauses. Some of those are first they went out, then they did this, next, and then you can keep using that throughout the different paragraphs. All right, that's maybe them solving the problem of getting the crown back. All right, so. And then we're going to use concrete language and sensory details to help readers experience events and bring them to life. So concrete language is and sensory details. Concrete language is just using language in ways to be with. So what you and then you have the sensory details. Sensory details. What are sensory details? Senses. You have 5 of them. Remember those? What are they? Sense of touch, hearing, smell, taste, sight. Those are your 5 senses. Now, if sensory details are when you and what they do is they would when you tell people more about like how a summer night smells or sounds or the way you can feel the air would be heavy or thick with tension or something like that. Okay, you bring in sensory details about how things feel, smell, that you just ways to describe things better. All right, that's what they're talking about when they talk about concrete language and sensory details to help events and bring them to life. Okay, all right, and then first we have the beginning, then we have the middle, then we have the end, and the end says it wraps and tells how the character solves the problem. A good ending leaves your readers feeling satisfied. It should tell how the character solves the problem and show what happened as a result. What happened to the bad guy? What happened to the good guys at the end? Okay? You have to have that. You can't just end it quickly. All right? People need that satisfaction of a good, tidy ending. And then you follow logically from the earlier events. One thing leads to another. So it has to be in logical, ordered event. Okay, you can't skip back. This isn't a long enough story for you to like tell a backstory, okay, a big long backstory. All right, so watch that. Now over here on the right hand side, page 81. Let's look at this where it says, "Oh, we're gonna start writing." Okay. Practice different techniques for opening your legend. How do we start our legend? Study each sample. Then try writing a similar opening for yourself. Now, we kind of already did that a little bit. But we're going to start with dialogue. This is one of the examples of how to do that. Start with dialogue that makes your readers wonder what's going to happen next. In the sample text from our mentor text, it says this was the Davy Crockett story, all right? So for 4 years running, I've won the Southern States Gator Wrestling Competition, declared Davy Crockett, and I'm going to win it again. That's dialogue, okay? So you say what the people are saying. Right, that would be dialogue, and that gets people interested. That's an example. You don't have to start like that, but it's a good way to start. Okay. Next part, place your main character in a scene, and what they did for the Davy Crockett story was, it says Davy Crockett strode around the ring, feeling energized by the crowd's cheers. Now all he needed was a gator. He's feeling energized. The crowd's cheering, and he's eating it up. Okay? Perfect. Good job there. Now, like we just kind of went over another page here. Describe the situation in exaggerated language. All right? In exaggerated language. from the Davy Crockett story, it says, by now, you've probably heard about Davy Crockett's skill at wrestling slimy, scaly alligators more than twice his size. To him, it was as common as getting dressed. Again, that's where that exaggerated language comes in, and you guys can always punch up your writing to make it sound better and to make it it's really good. Right, that was a great sentence, and I like that. You could have said Davy Crockett was good at wrestling big alligators, or you could have written this sentence where it really sounds cool. Try that, please. Okay, that's what we're trying for. And that's what this lesson's about. So get started on it. Go ahead and do it. And we will probably not have any more after this lesson. We're just gonna go. We'll wait till we come back to school. Yay! To do lesson 6. All right, but let's finish up step 5 now. All right. So draft your legend. No, we've that was kind of the starting. Now here comes what we're going to do for the middle. Page 82. Please get there. Please follow along. All right. As you develop your plot, please make sure your events unfold naturally by carefully using these narrative techniques. Just went over just a little bit of this, all right? So, dialogue. The conversation between 2 or more characters in a story shows the character's thoughts and feelings. Make the dialogue sound the way people talk to each other in real life. I know you guys are good at that. This will make your story more interesting. Told ya. Description. Description helps readers share in what the characters experience. Again, when the characters walking through the evening air, it was the night had a heavy smell of fear in the air, or that's not real. I mean, you don't really feel that, but there's sometimes you can describe like walking through a meadow, and you can describe the meadow as being the crunchy leaves as he walked whispered a certain song to him. I mean, they're just things like that. I mean, it doesn't have to say he walked through the leaves and they crunched, or you don't have to say he walked through a pretty meadow. The lush green grass of the meadow smelled sweetly of flowers and berry bushes and whatever. And the birds tweeted and chirped, and you could hear bees in the background. Just get descriptive, all right? Get crazy with this. All right, then pacing. What does pacing mean? That means how fast how things are going. All right, the speed at which story events unfold keeps the action flowing and the reader engaged. Vary the pacing. That means change the pacing up a little bit. Just like you see in the movies, it'll have like a little slow point, and then all of a sudden the action will happen, and then it kind of goes down, and the action gets bigger, and then that's what they mean by pacing. All right? A fast pace can create excitement, while a slow pace may work better when describing a setting, for example. Okay? Or a love scene. Anyhow, okay. The modeled instruction, we're going to look at what Lily Al-Farsi wrote when she was writing about Davy Crockett, Lulu May Hardin down here. This is the mentor text that we had. And then we're going to answer these questions. And then we're going to continue on with our story map over on the other page. But let's get to this one first. All right. The mentor text down here says, We're just going to read. It just says, read the excerpt from the Best Gator Wrestler 1804. We've read this 100 times, but we're just going to read the question first, then go over to the mentor text, because it's kind of pointing right where we need to be. Number 1, how does the writer use pacing, or the speed at which the story events unfold? How does the writer use pacing in the first underlined sentence to keep readers interested? In the first underlined sentence. In the first underlined sentence says, the battle began. How does the writer use pacing in the first underlined sentence to keep readers interested? It kind of comes out, and it's like, did it come out gently and say, well, the battle, they said 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, or did it just come out and kind of comes out and punches you right in the nose, doesn't it? The battle began. So, you answer that how you want to on that one. Number 2, why do you think the writer chose the words dizzy and without breaking a sweat to describe this scene? And the scene they're talking about says, the gator got so dizzy that Lulu May flipped and tied it without breaking a sweat. Why do you think the writer chose those words to describe this scene? Why do you think? Write your answer down. You don't have to do this while we're watching the video. You can always come back to this, okay? That's why I'm kind of going a little bit faster. Number 3, what does this dialogue, what they're saying, tell you about Davy's response to the story's events so far? And what they're talking about when he goes, hope you won't be a sore loser, Lulu May Hardeen, Davy boomed. And what does this dialogue tell you about Davy's response to the story's events so far? I think they've kind of answered that in one of the other steps. All right, but I'm going to let you answer that one on your own. There you go. Have at it. For now, I'm going to go on. You can always hit pause on these things, okay? I'm going to go on and we're going to do the guided practice over here for Olive's story map. That's us. We are Olive. Olive used her story map to write the draft below. Now she wants to add more dialogue, description, and pacing to develop her story events. So what we've already done on the story map is we've kind of put the general idea of how we want our story to go. Now we're going to start putting in details and starting to write, how they feel and adding all those sensory details and everything. So let's check this out. So Olive's story map, she's writing about Pipkin. And Pipkin says Pipkin scales the tower using special rope, carrying dog in backpack. Dog sniffs King's nightcap to find scent. Pipkin and dog creep through the tower and find the crown. Pipkin reaches for a crown, but it disappears. Dog, not fooled by invisible crown, and grabs it. Pipkin and dog escape out a window as guards appear. Pipkin is Olive's doing a good job with this, all right? But now, that was her story map. Very general ideas, but now look over here on the other side where Olive has really, really punched up those sentences and those ideas, right? Okay? Pipkin crawled around the next curve of the tower on his hands and knees, following Pup's white tail. Ahead was a table, and there on the table was the crown. Pipkin reached for it, but it disappeared. Pup wasn't fooled, though. Some magic had made the crown invisible, but it was still there. Pup grabbed it in his mouth. Then Pipkin threw his rope around a vine, picked up Pup and the crown, and climbed out the window. Which one do you like better? Obviously, that second one was much better. Now, let's answer the questions down here, okay? What are you waiting on? Number 4. How can Olive use dialogue at the beginning of the paragraph to show what Pipkin is thinking and feeling? So, I'm going to leave that up to you guys. You have to come up with dialogue. Maybe Olive, or not Olive, but Pipkin could be talking to the dog. Or maybe the dog could talk back. Yeah, why not? Go for it. Now, number 5. Which of Olive's notes could she use to make the crown scene come alive? Which of Olive's notes over here in the story map could she use to make the crown scene come alive? So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to go over here and we're going to read some of the notes on the left-hand side to make the scene come alive. I would try to think maybe dog not fooled by invisible crown and grabs it. So maybe the dog has some sort of special, I don't know, maybe the crown had a milk bone on it and the dog could smell the milk bone. I don't know. That's the beauty of the legends here. You can make up whatever you want, but again, we have an assignment, but you can take those assignments and twist them around. It's going to be fun. Number 6, how could Olive improve the pacing at the end of the paragraph to create more suspense? I'm going to leave that one up to you guys. You have to tell me what you think she could have done, Olive could have done, to make the ending more suspenseful. Now think about this. They're climbing out of a window of a tower. How could you make that suspenseful? Get on it. All right. Now what we're going to do is, once you're done with these 4 pages of step 5, we'll pick this back up when we see each other on Tuesday. See ya. Bye-bye.